Good afternoon, students. Welcome to the class. Am I audible to all of you? Can someone please check?
I can hear you, sir.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sriram. Simran. Got it.
Yeah, but
So we would be having a very interesting session now, and I request all of you to be very attentive and enjoy.
we can hear you. But
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Aditya. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, sir.
All right, Aditya. We are going to have a very nice session now, so you can enjoy the session.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Good morning, Atreya. Welcome to IHM's online platform.
Good afternoon, sir. Really nice meeting you.
A very good afternoon, sir. How are you, sir?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. How are you?
Very fine, thank you, sir.
Even if only virtually.
Yes, sir. It's a great pleasure and honor to have you with us, sir.
Happy to see you be there.
Feeling so elated seeing you, sir. Thank you so much for accepting our humble request and invitation to interact with these youngsters who are definitely in need. We'll wait for a couple of minutes, sir, and we will start, sir. Students from other classroom are joining. Yes, sir. Very good afternoon to each and every one of you, dear students. Happy to have you all here for this national seminar on healthy relationships. In fact, we knew very well, and each and every one of us are undergoing a tough phase in our life, especially during the pandemic times, where the online classes and then a different kind of life experience which this pandemic posed is seen to be affecting our relationships with anyone who we come across. So in order to enhance our relationship even in a better way, we have here Swamiji with us, a very distinguished person who kindly consented to come and interact with each and every one of us to help us live a better life and maintain a very healthy relationship. It's our great honor to introduce all of you to Swamiji. Swami Ganesh Swarupananda Saraswati ji is often known as Swamiji in his Purva Shrama days, and he was a graduate from IIT Delhi and a silver medalist. It's really, we are proud of you, Swamiji. It is a great thing to hear that you are from IIT Delhi, a very learned person and a highly accomplished person you are. Uh, he did his MBA from an Iranian institute affiliated to Harvard University. So Sir has got an international exposure in terms of education as well. Sir has published more than 27 international papers. He had managed his own consultancy firms in Delhi. So Sir is an entrepreneur, he's a researcher. It's really great to know about our Swamiji. Then realizing the call of his goal, he renounced everything and studied Vedanta for 4 years under Swami Dayananda Saraswati. from Arsha Vidya Gurukulam Anaikattu. That's really nice. Swamiji is now handling various online study classes, including Gita Home Study for youngsters, weekend Vedanta classes, and so on. Apart from regular classes, bi-monthly lecture series Vedanta and I is conducted on various topics of Vedanta. Swamiji has also delivered motivation talks on various national and international platforms. Really, it is amazing to hear a lot about you, sir. On behalf of my principal, my faculty team, and all the students of IHM Chennai and from different other colleges of the state and India, a hearty welcome to you. Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity for our youngsters who are very keen and enthusiastic to know from you and learn from you, sir. Please guide us, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Om. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. As with many prayers, this prayer is for everybody. The fact is, we relate to the entire world. Whether we like it or not, we relate to every single person on the earth. Some very closely, some a little bit further away. But we do relate to it. It's inevitable. And this prayer simply says, may all these people with whom I relate, I pray for their happiness. Beautiful prayer. May they be without ailments of any kind, without any dukkha. Happy relationships, the two words, look at them separately, each has a specific meaning. If you look up happiness in the dictionary, you will not find relationships as one of the meanings. Look at relationships, it will not find happiness one of the meanings. But there is some kind of a relationship. Recently, we conducted a small survey among young people. Some 270, 80 people are being surveyed. Ask them, what do you want? Simple question, what do you want? And a significantly large number of people said, I want to be happy. Now the question that automatically arises is, when you say I want to be happy, can you define it? Can you talk about what you're doing about it? In most cases, we are looking for happiness in things which may not give us the kind of happiness we are looking for. If I were to ask those of you who think that I want to be happy, will you be satisfied if God permits you your wish and says, okay, between 7:43 and 8:12, every day you can be happy. I give no guarantee about the rest of the day. Will that be acceptable? Or if he says, all right, when you are taking a bath in the morning, you will be happy. Rest of the places that you're in, I give no guarantee. Will that be acceptable? That happiness we are looking for which is unlimited, neither by time nor by space, nor by any object, nor by any relationships, is neither very easy to define nor very easy to acquire. So what do we normally do? We go out looking to see, where can I find this happiness? If there were a supermarket where you could go and buy happiness, very successful supermarket. But we don't know where to go and look for it. We think we find happiness in small things or in big things. But is that true? There was a study at Harvard which started in 1939. Two people started it, Grant and Dweck. The study is still continuing. They tried to track two sets of people, one from the elite and the other from not so privileged groups in Boston, and tracked them. Through the last 80 years, they've been tracking them. The people who initiated the research have gone. Other people have come in. Other people have come in. New researchers have come in, but the research continues. Probably one of the longest running research. And into those elements, they found evidence to say something we all know, but we don't recognize. Neither money, nor fame, nor any of the other things we think gives us happiness, none of them do so. It is not a revelation. It is already known. We know it. But we don't know any better. We don't know how to go about it. If these are not what's going to give me happiness, is what I'm looking for, what else is going to give me happiness? A study very elaborately done. They tracked these people every year. They talked to them. They talked to their families over the last 80 years. They talked to their children. They took medical tests, took blood samples, took brain scans. The one thing that stood out is money, fame, etc. does not make them happy. Neither group, neither the privileged group nor the underprivileged group. Now, if you were to understand this study and apply it to yourself, starting with the intuitive feeling that what I want is to be happy. And this study and our own knowledge deep down, that this is these things which we think gives us happiness. A lot of wealth, big house, big car, fame, does not yield what we're looking for. What else can be the reason? What else can be there? Our own scriptures give us the answer, but it's very difficult to understand. So let's stay with the relative happiness that the study talks about. the one factor that they found relates very well to the feeling of happiness is a stable, long-term relationships. Now you see the connection between happiness and relationship. Like I said, we relate choicelessly. Some relationships we can do nothing about. A father-son, a father-daughter relationship. You don't decide which parents you're born to, but the relationship is strong. Siblings relationships. Others who claim relationship with you, uncles, aunts, grandparents. These are given. These come about because of our own doing in the past. That decides what kind of families you're born in, what kind of situations you're born in. Therefore, the relationships that are inevitable relationships. At another level, we have relationships which are not inevitable like this, and yet it is not quite under your control. Which country are you born in? Who is your neighbor? What kind of belief groups you're born in, you belong to? They can be changed. They are not permanent like the first category of relationships. There is yet another category of relationship which we willfully acquire. Friends, acquaintances, we acquire willfully. In the second category, you'll also have, for example, colleagues in the college, colleagues at office when you go to work. But this third category, you choose who you want to relate to. Irrespective of which category it is you are looking at, the relationship has an impact on your personality. Who you relate to, how you relate, will also dictate a lot of things about what you do and how you do, how you feel, what is your mental state, which direction do you take life in. Sanskritam it is called satsanga. Satsanga doesn't mean singing bhajans. They also called satsanga. But satsanga is sangha, relationship of the right kind. What is it that you can do about these relationships that their impact on you is positive? In the same survey I spoke about in the beginning, we also asked the youngsters, what is it that you don't want? And a significant number of youngsters came up with words which meant a lack of trust. In fact, the word they often used was fake. In these days of social media and other news outlets, we know fakery is very common. But in relationships between friends, if you start with a relationship and then find that the other person is not all that you thought he or she was, that disillusionment affects you. That's only half the story. Would the same thing not apply to your friends when they discover that there is something about you they found which is not genuine? So the first lesson in any relationships which has to have a positive impact on you has to be this understanding. I find it hurtful to build a relationship and find there are elements of fakery. The same thing is true when I interact and relate with other people. So one of the first lessons we have to understand is what face do I present? Do I present a genuine face, or do I present a fake face, masked face? Think about this. A relationship is a two-way street. You relate to the other person relates to you. So what the expectation is from the other person has to be the same expectation that they will have from you, in terms of being trustworthy, being genuine, not putting up a show which is different from what you really are. The first lesson. The second lesson is understanding, probably even more important. It is impossible to find a person who will satisfy all your likes. If you were to write a specification sheet for the other person to be, it is impossible to find a person who will fit all of them. So you have to accept a certain level of disagreement with what you like. Take the relation between your father and you, or your mother and you. Like I said, they have certain expectation that you will be true to them. Just as you have certain expectations that they will be true. I'm not talking about expectations in the sense of saying that they expect you will come topper in every class, or you expect that they will fulfill every wish of yours. Expectation in terms of trust. You do not deliver. So that is first, even the relationship between parents and you. Then the second I said is understanding. Parents and your relationship is inevitable. You cannot change it. You cannot apply for a new father or new mother. what you've been given. And there is a very strong relationship there. But there needs also to be understanding. You have to understand that your father is perhaps 25 years older than you, comes from an era, these days everything changes so fast, that he might have different values, different ideas than you have. There are times when you will feel, I know everything, my father doesn't. And if you get in an argument with your father in that relationship, and your father says, don't do this, and you say, why? He can't explain. Then it turns to one argument which you will never accept. Beta, you're still learning to deal with the world. You will understand what I'm saying 15 years from today. And you turn around and tell him, that is your standard final argument. To understand not only that the other person has certain background, certain experiences, certain personality, and in some areas knows more than you do. If you can come to accept that, then you're relating with certain level of understanding. You do that, you take the steps towards healthy relationships. Despite the differences, the relationship remains healthy. Parent-child relationship is one, which is a relationship you'll be given. Then the relationship between friends. You acquire friends. You decide which friends you want to spend time with. And all the time, those friends also have a background, a personality in which they've grown up, an environment in which they've grown up, just as you have. So when you are interacting with and relating to a friend, if you cannot understand where the friend is coming from, you have to sort it out. There'll be differences. You come from a certain background, the friend might come from a different background. This is particularly so when there are certain obvious differences between a boy and a girl. There are obvious differences. Their expectations in life are different from your expectations in life. You cannot bend and mold the other person to what your expectations are of life. Like I said, it is impossible to find a relationship where 100% of your likes are fulfilled. You should pray to Bhagavan and say, I want a life partner like this. He must be tall. He must be good looking. He must be a big sportsman. He must have the potential to gather wealth. God says, okay. And then you find so many things that in the person God has selected for you on your specifications, which don't meet your likes. Maybe it's a squeaky voice. You didn't ask for voice. Maybe he has a permanent backache, congenital defect. Maybe his tastes in food and dress are completely different from yours. It's impossible to find one which will fit all your likes. So you have to accept a certain level of adjustment. The third element that you should understand, the fourth element if you want, is what in a relationship makes it healthy and happy. Even in the study they found, the study I quoted earlier, that when your point of view is how do I make and keep this friend, this partner happy? And this applies to both. If your objective is clear, your understanding is clear, and your objectivity to begin with, saying that that person does not fulfill all your expectations, cannot fulfill all your expectations, all your likes. And then your object in life is to make sure that the other person is happy as far as it is possible and is in your power. When you recognize that your happiness lies in that partner's happiness, when two people get married, the marriage vows talk about supporting each other, doing what I can to make the other person happy. At the same time, knowing that whatever the other person is cannot be 100% match to what I think I like. Any relationship is, whether it is two people or in a group, like in a family, for example, when every member of the family, or in a two people relationship, every member of that duo is constantly thinking about how much can I give into that relationship, rather than how much can I get from that relationship. That leads to a healthy, happy relationship. When all the group members or two members think along these lines, how much am I giving into the relationship and how much am I taking out of the relationship? If what I'm giving in is much more than what I'm taking out, that relationship, when all the members have the same attitude, will be a wonderful relationship. There is a word in Sanskritam called subhiksha. You might have heard of this word. In Chennai, there used to be a chain called Subhiksha. I don't know how they picked up that name. What Subiksha means is this, that in that group or in the duo, you create surpluses. Every member of the group puts in more than he or she takes away. Apply this to family. It does not necessarily be in terms of money. Apply this to a company. Apply this to any group. Apply this to a group of friends. Each person in the group is looking to say, how much am I adding to the group? And how much am I withdrawing from the group for my own sake? And when that thought comes, and Subiksha is foremost in your mind, then that group will have Subiksha. This approach to relationships is what makes the relationship healthy. I said that Harvard study, which is still going on, also quotes this. They say that the long, stable relationship leads not only to good health, but also a sense of well-being, a sense of happiness to all the members. That's possible only if everybody thinks along the same lines. But if you are saying, what are you telling us to do? I want to gain, I'm in this relationship because I want to gain something. Will it work? If every member of your group, or if it's two people, thinks along the same lines, what will be left in the relationship? Zilch. Everything would be taken away. Fortunately, we are fed a lot of things about the word called love. Can any of you define what is love? What is love? One fellow went and threw acid on a girl. And when caught, he said, but I love her so much. What yardstick, by what measure can they be called love? Because she did not accept his request. It is love. The best way to understand love is to say, I want to see a smile on her face all the time. I never want to see a tear in her eye. Because my happiness lies in that. I would like to do everything I can to make the other person happy. Therein lies my happiness. Therein lies the health and happiness of a relationship. I don't know how many of you have thought through this or practiced in your own life. There are pressures that when you're young. Pressures coming from the fact that I think I know everything. Particularly these days when all kinds of information and misinformation and wrong information is accessible to me. I think I know everything. Very common when we are growing up. There are pressures of peer groups. You come from a family which is, let us say, vegetarian family, which is very pious family, and you go out into hostels and you find a new set of friends. One of them says, "Hey, have a drink." No, I don't drink. And the pressure starts building. That is another set of pressure that comes. When you're young, physiological pressures build inside the body. But we look at any of these things and we say, what is it doing to me? Is it good for me, or is it going to be detrimental to me? Increasingly, we are all coming to the instant age. Everything is instant. From instant coffee to instant idli to instant everything. And there is a lot of pressure on instant gratification. Somehow, this act, whether it is falling in line with peers to have a drink, or it is physical intimacy with the person of the opposite sex, there is a lot of pressure. But remember, most times, what gives instant pleasure, instant gratification, in the long term is extremely negative. Bhagavad Gita, there's a shloka, there's a mantra. Yattadagre vishamiva parinami amrutodbhavam tadviddhi satvikam sukham. You ask yourself, would I have, if I have a choice, would I go for instant gratification, which is going to result in all kinds of problems and unhappiness for an extended period? Or am I going to resist that need for instant gratification because I see gains in the long run? Choose. Yattadagre vishamiva. That which not satisfying that instant requirement may look like very negative thing. Pariname amrutodbhava. But if you are able to hold that, the result is very positive in the long run. This is called Sattvika Sukha. A Sukha of a wise man, a wise person. The happiness that comes from relating to people. It's true of any kind of relationship. Like I said, one set of relationship is something very close to you. Another set is one circle away, another set is another circle away, and perhaps a set of people who you never met, never known about. You hear about people starving in Biafra. Maybe you see it in the news. Whether you like it or not, it affects you because there is a relationship. Not perhaps as the one that you'll have people who live in the same house with you or study in the same college with you. But even that can affect you. There has been a tsunami in Japan, and you see those images. There is an effect on you. Every relationship will affect you. The closer the relationship, the more the effect. And the closer the relationship, the higher the temptation for instant gratification. And then one of you feel betrayed in the long run, or both of you feel betrayed. There is research done in the University of Los Angeles. They studied the brain patterns and where the brain is affected by pain. And they found the same place is affected. It is like physical pain when you feel betrayed. It has an impact on you. It has an impact on your friend. Anything that you take up in any relationship, if you can find that various steps, understand that nobody can fulfill totally all your likes, nor will any relationship be there where the other person does not have some of the things that you don't like. The same works the other way. You understand that other person or persons also have their own background, their own experiences, their own learning, their own conclusions, just as you have. And therefore, when they act in a certain way, you're able to relate it to the fact their background is different, their experiences are different, maybe the conclusions they've drawn about life are different. So let me show more objectivity and understanding. Third, in any relationship, what can I do to make the other person or people happy? I know my parents will be very happy if I do well in college. It depends for their happiness on my performance. Can I do something to make the relationship healthy and happy? Yes, I can. So the third aspect of it is, let me take that relationship with one or many with the goal of saying, how do I create subhiksha? How do I put in more than I take out? Last but not the least, when I understand that in life, many things which look very attractive in the immediate present will have an impact in the long run, which will be painful. This is something you have to understand. Because when you're young, you've not been able to see that far away. You're able to see only what that immediate pleasure, immediate gratification you can get. You're also aware that there are a lot of pressures on you. Social pressures, peer pressures, your own body pressures. And that when you recognize those pressures, and you recognize that if I give in to those pressures, I'm going to have a situation where I might get some instant gratification, which only remains instant. But will leave me lasting pain. That's how I build good, healthy relationships. Lastly, there is a relationship between your family, there's a relationship with your friend, the relationship with your colleagues, the relationship with your countrymen. There's one relationship which is unique. If you can build on that relationship, all other relationships become that much easier. It's a relationship between you and your God. Yeah, but I don't believe in God. Okay. If you want to talk about that God that you don't believe in, maybe I also don't believe in that. But there is some form, some concept that everybody has of what God is. And that relationship is a personal relationship. God has all power, all knowledge, all seeing. And the law of karma, which is again nothing but that Lord, which ensures that every act I do willfully will have a result, a consequence. You know, in this whole world, there is nothing but action and effect, cause and effect. If I can live in that relationship, if I can make that relationship my primary relationship, all other relationships are that much easier. You don't have to go to a temple or a church or a mosque or whatever else. It is your relationship with your God. Call him Ishvara, call him whatever else you want. That relationship. I know many of you in your younger age would have had some kind of relationship. Many youngsters talk about a relationship with the personal Ishvara. I did too. I had conversations with what I thought was my God's son. Don't tell me, don't ask me how I got there. That's a fact. Many of us would have had that. Somewhere as we grow older, as we hear more from other people, without adequate thought, we lose that relationship. We lose that sambandha. If you can reinstitute, if you've already lost it, if you've not lost it, you can reinvigorate that relationship. You will find your ability to deal with all other relationships is so much higher. On that wonderful relationship note, I will end my talk. I'll be happy to answer any questions any of you might have on this topic of building a happy, healthy relationship. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Students, would there be any questions from your side? We all enjoyed a wonderful session, a lot of information, lot of encouragement, lot of understanding on the relationships. Sir, there are a lot of claps for you. Students have really admired and they have been inspired by your speech, sir. Lot of heart symbol I see, lot of claps I see. Amazing students. So happy that it was really helpful to each and every one of you. Wonderful, wonderful. Do you have any questions, students? Shreya says good. Thank you, sir. Okay, any questions? Swamiji will be happy to address it for you. Students, one more thing I need to tell you all. I was introduced to Swamiji by our alumni, one Mr. Atreya. Atreya was very active and a very energetic student, very studious, I would say. He was assisting me in placements and he graduated in the year 2018 and he got selected through campus recruitment and he was the one who got in touch with me and introduced her to us, and that's how we were able to. So on behalf of all of you, I also thank Atreya for introducing Swamiji to us. So anything that you would like to ask students? I think they are all immersed with your lecture, sir, so they are all in deep thinking about, because you were very clearly mentioning one point, the relationship, how much are we taking out and how much are we giving. I think they are all stuck with that and it is giving them an option to deeply think about that. What is the contribution that they do for each relationship, which is definitely, I think everybody should think about it. Then I think life will become very meaningful. Alan Joe has typed a question, sir. I will read it out for you. Thank you, Alan Joe, for posing this question. Sir, I have one question. I often hear advices saying that family is important than friends. So does this mean friends are least important in one's relationship?
Sorry, I could not hear it very clearly. Can you repeat that question, please?
Yes, sir. He says, I often hear advices saying family is important than friends. So does this mean friends are least important in one's relationship? Which is important, family or friend?
You cannot underplay either of them. Like I said, family is a relationship which you have no choice over. So you have to maintain that relationship, to build that relationship, you have to develop the relationship. On friends, you have a choice. It is not a relationship you're born with. Friends, you have a choice. So how do I go about choosing the right friends? Satsangatve nisangatvam nisangatve nirmanatattvam nirmanatattve jivan mukti says. That is the sangha that you have, that companionship that you have is so important. To choose the right person, because you choose. Unlike your parents, you choose your friends. And they can be great influencers, either negatively or positively. Like peer pressure becomes one of the biggest things for young people today. Always, not today, always been like that. What kind of group one gets into? Is it a group which have similar background, similar thinking that you have? Similar aims in life, similar goal in life. For example, even in the survey that we did, I told you, there are several people who said what they're looking for is happiness. But there are also many who said, what I'm looking for is richness, wealth. Now, these two don't match very well. If you're looking at a friendship to develop, some happens instinctively. You feel an automatic connect with some people, but you're also alert. So it's not that's a less important relationship, very important relationship. It can actually help these young people find the right direction in life and avoid directions which will drag them down.
Thank you so much, sir, for giving a very, very nice, discourse. The question was well handled. Thank you, Alan, for coming up with this question. Very important question, and this serves for everyone to balance friends and family. Any other doubts like this? All right, sir. So it is really, really wonderful to have you, sir. We never expected and thought that we will be able to get your time and appointment, and I feel so nice that my students were able to interact with you. I was also fully part of this session, and I was enjoying immensely the values and the points that you were sharing. Thank you for giving us this enlightening insights about how to maintain healthy relationships, sir. On behalf of my principal, faculty, and all the students, heartfelt thanks to you, sir. And thank you very much, students, for being part of it. We wish that even in the future, we will be able to have a kind of platform with you and learn more about so many other aspects of life, sir. Thank you so much once again, sir.
Sarve Bhavantu
Thank you so much, sir.